He recorded the message 3 times and deleted it every single time, not because he didn't know what to say, but because saying it out loud made it feel real in a way he wasn't ready to face. His name was Daniel, and for the past few hours he had been sitting in the same place, holding his phone in his hand, staring at a screen that hadn't changed, yet somehow felt heavier with every passing minute. The voice recording icon blinked quietly, waiting patient, as if it had all the time in the world. But Daniel didn't. He pressed record again. The small red light appeared. For a moment he said nothing, just breathed. Then finally, "Hey." His voice stopped almost immediately after that single word. He closed his eyes, exhaling slowly, and tapped delete. Again, the screen reset. Clean. Empty. Like nothing had happened. But something had. Every time he tried to record that message, the same thing happened. The words would come to him clearly in his mind, perfectly formed, meaningful, important. But the moment he tried to say them, they disappeared. Or worse, they didn't feel right anymore. He leaned back slightly, his grip on the phone tightening just a little. This wasn't just about sending a message. It was about finally saying something he had kept inside for far too long. And once it was said, there would be no taking it back. That was the part that held him there, not unsure of what to say, but unsure of what would happen after he said it. Daniel placed the phone down beside him for a moment, rubbing his hands together slowly, as if trying to steady something that wasn't entirely physical. The room around him was quiet, but not peaceful. It carried a kind of tension that had been building for longer than just this evening. He looked at the phone again, still there, still waiting. The message thread was open, her name sitting at the top of the screen exactly where it had always been. Nothing had changed there. No new messages, no missed calls, just the same empty space that had been growing between them for days, or maybe longer. He picked the phone up again, his thumb hovering over the record button, hesitating just slightly before pressing it once more. The red light appeared again. This time he didn't stop immediately. "I've been meaning to say something." His voice was quiet, controlled, but not steady. He paused again, his thoughts catching up with him faster than he could speak. Because this wasn't just a message. It was an explanation, a truth, something that should have been said a long time ago, but wasn't. "I know things have been." He stopped. The sentence didn't finish. It couldn't. Not like this. He deleted it again. The screen went blank once more, as if erasing the attempt meant erasing the feeling behind it, but it didn't. Daniel leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, staring down at the phone as if it held something more than just a message, because in a way it did. It held everything he hadn't said yet, and maybe that was the problem. Not that he didn't know what to say, but that he had waited too long to say it. Daniel sat still, the phone resting in his hands as the silence around him began to feel louder than before. It wasn't just the quiet of the room. It was the weight of everything he had been avoiding for days, maybe even longer. His mind drifted back, not by choice, but because there was nowhere else for it to go. The last time they had spoken properly, not through short replies or delayed messages, but actually spoken. It hadn't been a fight. That was the strange part. There had been no raised voices, no harsh words, nothing that clearly marked the moment as something important. Just distance, slow, quiet, almost invisible at first. He remembered sitting across from her, noticing the way she seemed slightly distracted, her attention drifting away even while she was there. He had seen it. He just hadn't said anything, because it didn't feel like the right time, because it felt small, because he assumed it would pass. And maybe that was where everything started to change. The small moments he ignored, the conversations he postponed, the words he thought he could say later. Daniel's grip on the phone tightened slightly as the realization settled deeper. It wasn't that things ended suddenly. It was that they slowly faded, while he watched, without doing anything to stop it. He leaned forward, his elbows resting on his knees again, his eyes fixed on the screen even though he wasn't really looking at it anymore, because now he understood something he hadn't before. The message he was trying to send tonight wasn't just about now. It was about everything he didn't say back then. Daniel exhaled slowly, running his hand through his hair, as if trying to clear the thoughts that kept circling back no matter how much he tried to push them away. The phone was still in his hand, but now it felt heavier, as if it carried more than just a simple message waiting to be sent. He opened the chat again. Her name, still there, unchanged, but everything else between them felt different. He scrolled up slightly, reading through older messages. Conversations that once felt natural now looked distant, almost unfamiliar. The way they used to talk, the ease in their words, the small jokes that didn't need explanation. It all felt like something from a different time, a version of them that didn't exist anymore. His jaw tightened slightly as he stopped scrolling, because the more he looked, the clearer it became. It had happened slowly. The change hadn't happened in one moment. Through all the things left unsaid, he could have asked her what was wrong. He could have told her what he felt. He could have tried to understand what was changing between them, but he didn't. He waited, and in that waiting, everything slipped further away. Daniel looked at the record button again, his thumb hovering just above it. This time, the hesitation felt different. Not fear, not uncertainty, something closer to clarity, because now he understood what this message really was. It wasn't just something he wanted to say. It was something he should have said a long time ago. Daniel sat there for a long moment, his thumb hovering over the record button again, but this time the hesitation felt different. It wasn't confusion anymore. It wasn't about finding the right words. It was about finally accepting them. He pressed record. The red light appeared. He took a slow breath, his voice quieter this time, but steadier than before. I should have said this earlier. He paused, but not long enough to stop. I knew something was changing between us. I saw it. I just didn't say anything. The words came slowly, carefully, but they didn't disappear this time. I kept thinking it wasn't the right moment, that I'd talk about it later, when things felt clearer. His grip on the phone tightened slightly, but he continued. But later never came. The sentence settled heavily, but he didn't stop. And now I'm sitting here, trying to say everything at once, when I should have said it when it actually mattered. His voice softened, not breaking, but carrying something deeper now. I don't know if this changes anything. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's already too late. He exhaled slowly, his eyes lowering slightly, but I just didn't want to leave it like that, like nothing needed to be said. The message reached a natural pause, not because he had nothing left to say, but because everything important had finally been said. He looked at the screen. The recording was still running. For the first time, he didn't delete it. Daniel stared at the screen, the recorded message sitting there, complete, untouched. The small play icon beside it seemed almost insignificant, yet it held everything he had been trying to say for days. His thumb moved slightly, hovering between two options: send or delete, the same choice he had faced over and over again. But this time, it wasn't about fear. It was about acceptance. He knew what the message meant now, not just the words inside it, but the moment it belonged to. This wasn't something that could fix the past. It wasn't something that would bring things back to the way they were. And maybe it wasn't meant to. Daniel leaned back slightly, his eyes still on the screen, his breathing steady now, because for the first time, he understood something clearly. The message wasn't about changing her mind. It was about finally being honest with himself, about not leaving things unsaid again. His thumb moved, slowly, deliberately, and then he pressed send. The message disappeared from his screen, delivered instantly, leaving behind a silence that felt completely different from before. It wasn't heavy, it wasn't uncertain, it was clear. Daniel lowered the phone, his gaze drifting toward the window as the light outside began to fade into evening. He didn't know if she would reply. He didn't know what would come next. But for the first time, that didn't matter, because some things aren't meant to change the outcome. They're meant to change you.